Welcome back to the Rookie and the Vet podcast. We took a little bit of a week off, let some things kind of develop a little bit more. We are back now and following the Big Ten Media Days that took place at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis yesterday. Dante got a chance to go out to that, kind of brush elbows with all the bigwigs in the Big Ten. Obviously, Brett Bielema, Johnny Newton, Keith Randolph, Isaiah Williams were all present for the Illini. I guess give me your biggest takeaways on being able to this is your first time talking with them in a couple months now, right?
Yeah, so I spoke with Keith and Newton last week.
Okay.
But it was mainly around like NIL and, the charity event they were doing.
Right.
But talking football and just football only, it's the first time we've really heard from them in a couple months since like the spring game and all of that. So it's good to see them, good to hear from them. It was a great day. I mean, everybody got to talk. A lot of cool people in attendance. I mean, not even just Illinois. You had Ohio State with Ryan Day. His podium was packed. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., projected top 3 pick.
Yep.
Could be the number 1. Who knows? Probably not, but could be. Possible Heisman candidate, too.
Yep.
Also, which I thought was really cool, he was basically in the house. His dad, I don't want to say built, because like Peyton Manning with Lucas Oil Stadium, but man, did he have memories there with Marvin Harrison Sr. That was cool. I'm trying to think of some of the big names there yesterday. More Ohio State, obviously. Some of the Iowa guys. Penn State was there. They have a little bit of a new offense and defense this year. A lot of guys went to the draft, but yeah, a lot of things to be excited about. Big Ten football's starting. Practices starting next week. I believe it's either the 1st or the 3rd for Illinois.
Okay.
But yeah, right around the corner.
All right. And so let's start with Coach.
Mm-hmm.
What were his big things that I guess maybe he emphasized? I've never been to one of these events, so kind of jealous. I mean, I'm sure it's definitely an experience to kind of go to. I don't know, maybe next year I can go with you or something. But yeah, what did Coach what was his overall message, or what did he kind of put out there?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is Illinois is here to stay. Last year, it was a rise in the program. They went from, I don't remember their record 2 years ago. I believe they had 5 wins, just short of the bowl game. And then this year, they got up to 8 wins. Bowl game appearance, but they're here to stay, and he's here to stay. A big emphasis when we were talking on the side was, he wants this to be his final home.
I saw that.
Don't believe it, but he said it. I only say that because Bill Belichick's retiring at the end of the year, and Bielema was under his staff. Just saying.
BB takes over for BB.
Just saying. But he talked about how much he wants Illinois to be his forever. His family loves it here. He loves it here. But kind of that message of don't put Illinois in the back of your mind, because the defense is looking great. The offense, they're putting things together, with a strong quarterback room, which we'll talk about. But a lot of great things. And he's excited. I know all the guys are excited. And then I'll also mention little out there, but he did tell us he has not seen the Barbie movie yet. That was asked, which...
Have you seen the Barbie movie?
I have not.
All right.
But
do you plan on seeing the Barbie movie?
Probably not until
right.
I can watch it for free.
Okay.
And I know that annoyed a lot of people, that the fact that was asked. I think it's a quality question.
Yeah, pop culture, you never know. I mean, he's got a daughter.
That's exactly why it was asked. You need icebreakers.
Sure.
I thought it was a funny question. Some people didn't like it. I mean, those are the questions I love to hear, because one, you get some jokes, and you also get quality clips.
Sure.
But no, he said he hasn't seen it. But yeah, he had a lot of great things to say about this team. Some people asked him about, the Northwestern, and just the locker room. He didn't really go into much about that. But overall, he wants people to be excited about this team, and he wants to pack Memorial Stadium this coming season.
Yeah, and what they've sold 9,500 season ticket passes.
Yep.
So. And
you got to buy it now, because they keep telling us they're not going to lower the prices when the season comes. Josh Whitman keeps talking about that. Last year, when they were ranked, they were like, $13. We're ranked 13. We're doing $13 a ticket. They're not doing that this year, because they know these tickets are going to sell, because Illinois football seems to be back.
Yeah.
So that's what they keep emphasizing.
Okay. Do you have season tickets yet?
I do not.
All right.
I just go in.
You want to split it? Oh, that's true. You get to sit in on games. You're always there.
I gotta work,
though.
You gotta work.
Don't get to sit up in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get to a couple games this year again.
Yeah,
so.
hopefully it's not too cold. Since I came in September last year, and then I had to go home for a home game, so I missed 2 home games last year, and then it just started getting cold, and those are some tough games when it gets cold.
So I actually, to speak on that, I went to the Minnesota game last year here. Dressed, hoodie, sweatpants, hat, beanie hat. I actually thought it was colder when I went to inside to go get food and drink compared to like when I was up there in the stands, because you got all those bodies around you. You're getting up and cheering and stuff, but
Could be the concrete.
that could be
I don't know
too.
if that makes it cold.
The wind seemed to kind of funnel into the concessions area. I don't know. I'll just say. So, I mean, it wasn't too bad, and I think it was like, I don't know,
And they won that game.
30s.
Helps.
Yeah.
But it's the games like Michigan State and Purdue
Yeah.
where it was freezing and they lost.
When you're in the
And,
winter of it all.
but, yeah, I mean, Michigan State, Purdue, those are 2 teams that Michigan State was at Big Ten Media Day, kind of circling back to Big Ten Media Day. Mel Tucker was a big, coach on tension point for a lot of coaches. Michigan State has a good roster this year. They have some good players on both sides of the ball, but they did lose their quarterback. He entered the transfer portal, and I know there's a huge competition there. That was addressed. There's a lot of quarterback competitions around college football, and in terms of the Big Ten, and Illinois, I think, is right in the middle of that. Luke Altmaier, John Paddock, and Donovan Leary. I think the consensus is that Luke Altmaier will be the starting quarterback, but they're going to play this game up until probably the week of. I know they did that last year with Tommy DeVito. Everybody knew Tommy DeVito was going to start, but I think they're going to play this game. We'll see. I think Luke Altmaier is the best choice.
Yeah.
But I think when you go with a couple guys, like when you start to get down with John Paddock, he's from blanking exactly where he's coming from. But his family. I remember back when we were talking to him back in maybe March. He's a legacy player where his dad played at Illinois, I believe, and then like his uncle or grandpa, something like that. But he's another guy to keep an eye out on. I think he'll end up being the backup behind Altmaier, but he's somebody who can run. He's a little smaller of a guy, kind of like a DeVito style player, but if he needs to run out of the pocket, he definitely can.
So maybe the guy who's going to perhaps take the reins once, Altmaier's graduated, gone out.
Well, I think Paddock's in his final year.
Okay.
So I think Altmaier has 2 years left of eligibility.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But Paddock, I believe, he's in his grad year because I feel like he's been in college forever. But Donovan Leary is somebody who could take over in the future. I think he's a great player. Brother of former Wake Forest quarterback. Don't know why I'm blanking on his name. He's now at Kentucky. Took over for Will Levis. But Leary is a great name across college football right now. And
don't they have like a 3 or 4 star recruit quarterback coming in out of Chicago in a couple of years?
They have a couple good
2024
guys they've been looking at, and then they just landed somebody recently in the recruiting class, which could be a huge name going forward. Somebody who's not afraid to run the ball. Okay. It'll definitely be a different style of Illinois offense, where it's somebody kind of with a similar style to Justin Fields, where he's able to really torch defense with his legs.
Yeah.
Which would be big. It would be a really different style than I feel like what Illinois has seen in recent years. They've had a lot of pocket passers who can run, but it's not their forte kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, so we're talking offense right now. We lost Chase Brown to the NFL draft. Who's stepping up in that backfield? Who's going to be, the big workhorse, do you think?
Probably Reggie Love. That's probably where who you're gonna see dominate the backfield, but I think we're gonna see more of a balanced offense where they are incorporating the wide receiver group. Okay. You have Isaiah Williams, you have Pat Bryant, and then you have Casey Washington, and then Malik Elzy. Be interesting to see how much he's worked in as a freshman, but I think it's going to be a more balanced offense. Isaiah Williams talked about that balanced offense yesterday at Big Ten Media Day. He's excited. I don't think it's the best wide receiver core out there, but with Luke Altmaier and some of the things he's able to do, I think they have a chance to kind of explode on offense this year and show it's not just their run game, which dominated last year. It's both both areas. They also have a good tight end group.
Yeah.
They brought in a guy, blanking on his name, but they do have a good tight end group as well. It's kind of very balanced.
I know that 2024 tight end group is supposed to be pretty sizable too. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. These guys are 6'7" and 220 already, and so yeah, I mean that's a position that we haven't heard a whole lot from in Illinois, and I mean it's mainly been, I feel like, the running back position on offense here recently. So that wide receiver core, definitely that Malik Elzy. I'm excited to see what he can do if he is going to take that next step and kind of become that 2 or 3 wide receiver. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with injuries and all that. But you said that Isaiah had kind of taken him under his wing a little bit.
Yeah, he talked about Malik being special and just wanting to push him as much as he could. And we talked to Isaiah about Malik and just everything he has the capability of doing.
As a leader in the wide receiver group as well, what have you done to kind of help, a guy like Malik Elzy, who's, has a lot of high expectations here at Illinois? I'm not sure how much you guys been together this offseason so far, because I know it came in later. What have you seen from him, and what are you able to do to kind of teach him the ways to only be successful?
Yeah, a guy like Malik, me and him click because he a hard worker. One thing, I click with guys who work hard, and Malik Elzy one of them guys who work hard, but one thing we do is he lift with me. So, like, when we're in the weight room, when we benching, when we squatting, like, me and Malik, we actually in a group, like, working with each other. So I'm just making sure what I try to do is I try to lift before him. Because a lot of times I feel like as a freshman, you're going to cut yourself short. So what I try to do is I try to lift some heavy weight. And, like, knowing that he's strong, I'm like, okay, now it's your turn. So now he see that I could do it. Now he feel like, oh, I could do this too. Because he is strong, but as a freshman sometimes you might sell yourself short. So what I've been trying to do is just show him the way, push him, motivate him in any way I can. And also, it has been a time where he was upstairs and needed me to come drop some plays for him. So I go drop some plays for him so he can learn the playbook, because if he can learn the playbook, the faster he learn, the better chances he have of making, like, playing on the field.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was Isaiah Williams. He just talking about his pushing him, and as you mentioned, being in the workout room, he always wants to go after or before Malik. So if he's doing 20 reps, Malik's like, I want to be better and do 21 reps.
Okay.
Instead of Malik going first, doing 10 reps, and then Isaiah going after him. So it's just constantly pushing each other. I think Isaiah's a great person to kind of lead Malik. He's been around the block. Funny enough, which you would never expect unless you've been paying attention with Illinois football, but Isaiah was he was a quarterback when he came into Illinois, now turned into a wide receiver.
I think I remember that, actually.
He's kind of seen both sides of, throwing the ball and catching the ball. So he knows what it takes. He's a great guy to speak with, a great guy to learn under. So I think Malik's in great hands. And that's why I think give this wide receiver core a year or two, and I think they can be something special. Something where you're looking at this group like maybe last year with Chase Brown, where everybody's honing in on that spot of the offense. But yeah, I think that they have the recruiting class to do it, the freshman class to do it in the coming years. Just a special group of guys.
Okay. All right, let's talk defense now. And I know, again, a lot of question marks here because lost 4 guys to the NFL draft last year. And I mean, Devin Witherspoon being a big one. Do you think this defense takes a step back at all, or do you think this defense remains just as dominant as it was this last season?
So the front line is no question is going to be just as good as they were last year. I mean, Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton, he's preseason Big Ten all first team projection. Deservedly so. I think he's one of the top defensive linemen in the country. Everybody kind of knows it. Projected first round pick. Then you go into the secondary. Obviously, they lost Sidney Brown, lost Quan Martin, and Witherspoon. How are you going to replace three guys who were taken, I think, the first 3 rounds of the draft? So one guy that is already here, he was there last year as a freshman, Illinois guy from Moline, Illinois. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Matthew Bailey. Matthew Bailey, he really started to rise as the year went on last year. Slowly got more time as the year went on. Started getting interceptions. Started just making huge tackles in the backfield, especially as some guys were starting to go down. And he really just he solidified a spot this year in the starting lineup. He'll probably be at safety if I had to guess.
Okay.
Really good. And then you bring in Nicario Harper from Louisville. Somebody great to... I don't think he's Witherspoon standard, but I think he's Quan Martin standard at maybe like a nickelback or a cornerback. Obviously, he's a corner, but where he fits in the secondary, I don't know, but he's somebody who's pretty good. I mean, Illinois went after him for a reason, landed him early too. He'll be really good. And then you have Nicholson, another returner for Illinois. He put in a lot of minutes. We saw some great minutes out of him against Mississippi State in the bowl game, especially with Quan played, but without Sidney and Witherspoon. We saw some great minutes from him. He played in and out a little bit throughout the season, but Nicholson's another good guy. They're in a good spot, but obviously last year it's hard to be at the same standard with top 3 round picks.
Right.
I mean that's hard unless you're Alabama or Ohio State or Georgia. It's hard to kind of just bring in new guys and replace them.
Yeah.
But I think they're in a good position to do it. The linebacker group is where I have some question marks.
Sure.
You do have Bryce Barnes, solid returner. I believe he's heading into his senior year. But then you have Gabe Jackus, who is an absolute monster. I think he kind of rotates between the edge and linebacker. But he's somebody we'll talk about in a year as a possible top 2 round pick, I think. Dominant. Big guy. Probably about 6'3", maybe. But man, is he good. But other than that, the linebacker group, I'm not sure how they'll be.
Okay.
They lost a couple guys to just graduation. But overall, the defense is pretty solid. I think I would rank them maybe in the top, probably like 5th or 6th in the Big Ten. But I would rank that defensive line probably 1 or 2.
Okay.
Right next to Ohio State in the Big Ten.
And that's saying something.
Or actually, honestly, all of college football.
Okay.
I wouldn't put him 2 in college football.
Sure.
But I would put him probably 3, 4. It's hard to go against Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. But they are definitely up there. I'm very high.
That's something to kind of say.
Of course.
To put them up with those programs that are typically competing for that national championship year after year, and who are pretty much turning out, some of those top defensive picks in the NFL draft every year. It's I feel like this past season it was Georgia, Alabama, they have great defensive line. Johnny Newton's not afraid to say it. He takes to social media probably every day, staking his claim why Illinois' defensive line. I know they kind of snubbed him like a few months back and ranked him, I don't know, something absurd, but he wasn't happy about that. And he said, I'm going to show you why I'm going to be the number 1.
Yeah, well, I talked to him at Big Ten Media Day, about that, him taking to social media, at least once a week, maybe twice a week, just to call out those who are doubting him, as well as just the defense and defensive line as a whole.
And you're not afraid to vocalize on social media. You believe this Illinois defense is among the best this year. What makes you a part of that top-tier group?
We just got dogs on that side of the ball, really on both sides of the ball, but I can only speak for defense. I just know with our scheme and the players we have, like we have a really great opportunity to be something special. Coach Henry always preaches to us that we could be really special, and we believe it. Like, we know it, the work we put in, it shows it that we believe it. So just working day in and day out to get to that next level is something that the whole defense is looking forward to.
All right. And of course, that defense now a little bit different. Ryan Walters went over to Purdue.
Yep.
Who's taken the helm as far as that defense goes now?
Aaron Henry, young defensive coordinator, but knows what he's doing. I mean, he came in for the last game against Mississippi State. The defense looked solid. Definitely there were things to work on, but he knows what to do. He's a great mind. He played at Wisconsin with Bielema. I mean, very well respected around college football. I don't know what we're going to see with this defense. There's definitely going to be an emphasis on that defensive line. I think we're going to see a lot of blitzes this year.
Okay.
But when I talked to Keith Randolph, he had mentioned the defense isn't too much different in terms of their playbook. A lot of things taken from Walters, a lot of things taken from Henry, because Henry was under Walters. I believe Henry was the defensive backs coach, then molded into the defense coordinator in the offseason, but we're going to see a lot of similarities with, I think, a little bit of a twist. I think Walters, since he was the defensive back, a lot of his emphasis was on the back, the secondary.
Sure.
Where I think we might see, which I think you have to when you have such a great defensive line, but a big emphasis on, get into the quarterback.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of letting him sit back and let your secondary do the work. Because it was so easy last year to just let Witherspoon do him, let Sidney Brown sit there and catch interceptions.
And that was actually going to be my next question for you is, do you think we're going to be seeing more of that quarterback attacking defense, or are we going to be seeing more of the kind of ball hawking mentality where we're going to get up there and compete jump balls and, come down with interceptions and get turnovers that way?
Oh, I think they're going to press the quarterback like you probably haven't seen since Whitney Merciless.
Okay.
From Illinois guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I figured you said that name.
I just had to double check because I don't know why.
I figured you wouldn't have thrown that name out there unless you were talking about Illinois.
I was just double checking. This is going to be I don't want to say rush first, 'cause that's kind of offense. Pressure. Force them to run or force them to pass the ball because they are not going to get past the defensive line running the ball.
Yeah.
Which was something I wouldn't say Illinois struggled with last year, but it kind of killed them in some games. Michigan, the run game killed them when Blake Corum was just running through their defensive line.
Yep.
Same thing with Purdue with Maccabee.
Yep.
That's how they won that game. I think Michigan State was big in the run game.
And those were their 3
losses
last year.
Yes, and because if a team, teams last year would not throw the ball much because of obviously their great secondary and the run against Illinois. They got through the holes and really exposed them. But I think this year it's gonna be a little different, where teams are going to pass the ball because the defensive line's too good, way too good. So that's something that'll be interesting to see with this defense and how teams approach them, because you got Penn State right near the top of the schedule this year. Penn State's not afraid to do anything because they look at Illinois as just another team in their Big Ten schedule.
And I think if Illinois can pull out a win in that game, I think that definitely makes a pretty big statement on where they belong at the end of the season. Is it in that Big Ten championship? Because the rest of the schedule for them is definitely winnable if they play at the top of their game. Penn State's one of those big, probably the biggest game that they've got out there this season.
Definitely the best team they're playing. I think Iowa's good this year. Purdue will be solid, but they don't have that Michigan game this year.
Right.
They don't have Michigan next year.
And they got Nebraska. Trying to think of
a lot
all
of the Big
games.
Ten West, and then
maybe
Maryland.
Maryland's in there.
Yep. So I think those are the only 2 from the Big Ten East. Maybe no.
I'm blanking on what the schedule. I know we went over it a couple weeks ago, but
it's definitely.
I just remember that Penn State game being key. I know Nebraska's coming here because my wife's a Huskers fan, and so maybe we're gonna take that game in. But those are kind of the 2 notable ones that I can pull out of thin air.
Definitely a schedule where they have the opportunity to go like a 9-3.
Yeah.
If all goes well and they don't lose the games, they do play Indiana. That's when I was blanking on. if they don't lose the games they're supposed to win, then they could have an 8 or 9 win season this year. Because you should be beating Wisconsin. You should be beating Minnesota. Minnesota will be good this year. Purdue's going to be a toss-up. Iowa, I think, could be a toss-up. I'm very high on Iowa this year. But, I mean, we could see Illinois in another New Year's Day bowl. Maybe even a Big Ten championship, hopefully.
Love to see Big Ten championship. That would be
Hopefully,
something.
because, I mean, they were a game away last year.
Yeah.
Game away. But I think that's pretty much all from Big Ten Media Day. Just trying to think if there was anything else kind of mentioned as worth noting. The players love the new jerseys.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't talked about the jerseys at all yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're for sale yet. Because
Yeah, I
I've
don't think
looked.
so. Mm-hmm.
They are not?
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so.
all
I
right.
don't think so.
But a lot of people have been saying Syracuse vibes.
They are.
It's kind of that Nike jersey. If you haven't seen them yet, it's got the stripes on the shoulder pads, so very much like an LSU look or
It's very
Ole Miss.
It's very Nike-esque.
Yeah.
Nike does not switch up their concepts at all.
right.
Like, it's
and
just
you'd
the same
think you'd
thing.
tailor something for each team's, individualness.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like they did.
No.
Very
I feel like
sim-
the only people that actually get the most unique jerseys from Nike is Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, Alabama just wears like a crimson.
Oh yeah, I
This
feel
is
like
the basic
that jersey
jersey.
has not changed in like 60, 70 years.
It was so cool, speaking of Oregon. I mean, they used to have a new jersey every game. They've kind of toned it down a little bit, but I remember back in maybe 2011, it was like one game is neon, one game it was pink, one game it was
Oh,
gray.
they still do that.
Really? I don't watch
yeah.
a lot of Oregon games, so I don't see, but I know they have a huge selection of jerseys.
They get about. You got your apple green. You got your, and I'm an Oregon fan, so I can talk about this. You got your green. You got your yellow. You got your white. You got your black. Then they'll have a sequoia green, which is just a dark, almost army green. They've got those breast cancer jerseys, yeah, with all black, a little bit of neon, the pink numbers.
The whites.
But I mean, yeah, they're usually getting, and that's one of the big draws I feel like for them is all the cool uniforms that you get and all the swag you get from Nike because Phil Knight went to University of Oregon.
That's where it all started, basically.
I mean, they get treated very well.
yeah. I mean, at the
Very
end,
unique jerseys. So
at the end of the day, I like the jerseys. I think they're clean. I did when
I really liked last year's jerseys.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't go in all orange.
I know. Yeah,
will
I'm
say.
with you on that.
Or gray. I know you mentioned that.
I love the grays.
I love the grays. I loved when Syracuse did the grays. But when I walked down the tunnel yesterday, just not paying attention and not a care in the world, at a quick glance, I saw Illinois' jerseys, and I genuinely thought I was looking at Syracuse's for a hot second, and then I saw the eye, and I was like, oh yeah, because I'm so used to seeing Syracuse's jerseys, just I don't know, I just feel like I see it more than anybody because I have watched
Right.
those games for years.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I like them. I think they're crisp, they're clean, they're perfect combination.
And maybe they have something that we haven't even seen yet. I know they put some of those photos up on Instagram, on Facebook. Maybe they're saving something for, one of these games. Maybe there is an all orange combo.
Yeah.
Um,
When I talked to Isaiah, he had mentioned he loved the jerseys, yada yada. But the big thing he cares about is the sock combination.
Okay.
If they can wear a orange with the navy, or the orange on the orange pants, or it's just something. That seemed to be his main concern.
Got it.
I guess that's how players think. But I mean, Keith, Johnny, and Isaiah all liked him. I'm assuming the rest of the team liked him.
Okay.
They just want to go out there and play ball.
All right.
At the end of the day. But as fans, we gotta. I don't know. You want to buy them? You want to wear them?
Right.
Um,
You want to have that new style when you're going to the new season with this new feel with everything that's going on. But then you also have those people who have been going to games since the 90s and they've got the old throwback jerseys that they bought way back when. Mm-hmm. And so
I was under the impression they were going. I don't know if you've seen the cursive style they do now with a lot of their football stuff. It's like the Illini and cursive.
I do
kinda
like
thing.
that. The basketball team has been repping that.
I was surprised they didn't kind of go that route. At least with like a helmet decal.
Sure.
I thought that would have been cool. But I guess not. I don't know how you really would have done that. I feel like Ole Miss kind of has that bubble.
Yep.
That bubble writing on their helmets. I don't know. Could have been a cool decal. Maybe they do it.
Maybe.
At some point. I think decals are easy. Just peel them off. Not as much as a jersey.
Sure.
But overall, clean jerseys.
Yep.
There's a lot of good jerseys in the Big Ten. They literally had a whole row of all the jerseys. I really like Minnesota's. I don't know if you've ever seen their black jerseys with their, like, it's like a really dark maroon. Very nice. Big fan. Big fan.
All right.
But yeah. Should do it here.
Yeah. I think that's
Rookie
all
in-
we got this
Rookie on
week.
the Vat. We'll have all the one-on-one interviews with Isaiah, Keith, and Johnny up on the website. They're like 6 minutes long.
Okay.
Go ahead, take a listen to those. They talk about everything from the offense, more on, as we mentioned with Malik Elzy, the depth at the defensive position. Really just talking. We also talked about their outfits, their drip, as one might say.
Yep.
What they showed up with for Big Ten Media Day. I know Keith changed his mind at the last minute. Isaiah was all about his shoes. It's definitely a good watch up on our website.
I'll have to give that a watch too.
Yeah, that'll do it here on the Rookie in the Vet. Make sure to follow us on our social medias as well as to like or subscribe on whatever podcast streaming platform you're listening or watching on. That way you know whenever we have a new episode up. So yeah, that'll do it on Rookie in the Vet, and we'll see you next time.